Hi, you are to the point in the lesson where you are ready to dig into the sediment files to find more about sediment in the gray area and what could be causing it. So let's start with the first part of the sediment files. This is all the work of our student detective, Juan Tuño, who wants to know. And so Juan Tuño is telling us here how sediment pollution can affect water life. He says, sediment can cover the rocky bottoms of rivers, and then fish like salmon can't dig the holes they need to lay their eggs. Sediment can also smother the eggs of water insects and suffocate newly hatched insect larvae. Sediment can damage or clog fish gills so the fish can't breathe. It can cut the light, making it hard for water plants to grow. It can darken the water so it absorbs more of the sun's heat. Okay, now down here we have some research notes. It looks like Juan Tuño's done his own investigation into sediment and water temperature. He says, I left these cups with 1 cup of water in the sunlight for 1 hour. I put them all on a white tray. I wanted to see if the water that is dark with sediments will get warmer than the clear water. So you see here on his data table, he's got a cup of clear water, a cup of clear water, but with 1 teaspoon of dirt, a cup of clear water, but with 2 teaspoons of dirt. And at 10 a.m. when he sent them out, they were all 328 degrees. So they started at the same temperature. You can see that all three by 11 o'clock in the morning had increased their temperature, but the dark one increased to 39 degrees, the medium 38, and the total clear one only to 35. So it does appear that there's a connection between sediment in the water and temperature. Now, this is a sarcastic letter to the editor from the Synchrony, and it was in the newspaper, the Synchrony City Chronicle. And look at this. Thanks to clear cutting for this recipe, clear cut logging. And here's their recipe for dead fish. Take 1 river of cool water with lots of oxygen and fish. Add a few tons of sediment. Stir, then bake in the sun until brown and warm. There will now be much less oxygen in the water. Watch those fishies float. Hey, now this is in a different newspaper, but it's connected and it has to do with local farmers maybe overgrazing. It says local farmers are devoting more acres to grazing sheep because of the high demand for wool in Synchrony City. One farmer said, I can graze a big herd of sheep on the steep part of my land where it's hard to raise crops anyway. It's a win-win situation. But environmentalists warn that farmers must limit grazing, especially on slopes near rivers and streams. If sheep are allowed to overgraze, they can seriously damage the plant cover. Shrubs and grasses protect the soil and slow down water runoff that can cause erosion. Excessive trampling by grazing animals can also make it hard for plants to grow back. Okay, so let's continue on now. Here's a short article that says fish could be in hot water. Scientists say that warming water could be killing our fish. Warm water can't hold as much oxygen as cold water, said a local scientist. What's worse is that a fish's system has to work faster in warm water, so they need more oxygen. It's a double whammy. They need more oxygen, but there's less there. Okay, now check this out. This is a data table about temperatures of the waterways in the gray area over the last 20 years. So I'm going to hopefully my highlighting tool will work here. Let's see. Okay, so we've got Gray Bay here, right? So 20 years ago, 58, 58, 5 years ago up to 59, today 60. Now check out both the upper and lower Rafta rivers right here. Perfect. At 55, no change in temperature. Lake Adasical, 57, 56, 57, 57. Upper and lower Mississippis, they follow almost the same pattern. Here's the upper, 57, 59, 5 years ago, 58, and then 64. Now the lower Mississippi, 57, 59, 58, 65. Remember, the fish started dying here 5 years ago. And the final two, the Faux River, 57, 59, 56, 60. And then James Pond, 58, 59, 57, and then 60. Okay, so you'll have some questions for sure about that. Now, here's a little bit to end, just more about clear cutting. Clear cut forests And again, the title is Clamor About Clear Cutting. Clear-cut forests and heavy winter rains have caused massive erosion, habitat destruction, and water pollution in some parts of the country. So it doesn't say for sure the gray area. After a clear cut, the forest is gone. New trees may have trouble sprouting because of dry conditions or brush covering the ground. In recent years, trees have been selectively cut in most forests. This means cutting some trees in the area but leaving others alone. Selectively cut forests can recover more easily, as much wildlife habitat is saved. Last year, the president signed legislation allowing logging companies to clear cut again in certain forests if unhealthy trees called salvage. Sorry, let me reread that again. Last year, the president signed legislation allowing logging companies to clear cut again in certain forests of unhealthy trees called salvage. But critics claim that some forests of healthy trees are being called salvage and are being clear cut. Now, look at this. Down here, we have this letter, and it's signed from Anton Alog. Now, remember, Anton Alog here is suspect number 5. He works for Don Juantuno, and he's writing this to a U.S. Forest Service representative. We would like to request that you designate the selective cut logging area near the Rafta River as salvage. We have already clear cut a nearby area with no harm to the environment, he claims. We think this site deserves reclassification.